Let's turn to this. Right now, Chinese President Xi Jinping is in Moscow for a 4-day visit at the invitation of Vladimir Putin to celebrate Russia's Victory Day parade. The two leaders signed a joint statement today, quote, further deepening their partnership. Now, Russia's unilateral 3-day ceasefire in Ukraine has taken effect, though Ukraine says that it has already been broken by Russia, saying the Russian forces struck hundreds of times along the front lines and launched guided bombs that killed and wounded civilians in several Ukrainian cities just today. Joining me right now is Admiral James Stav. He's a former NATO Supreme Allied Commander and a partner at the Carlyle Group, the international investment firm. It's good to see you again. What message do you think that these two leaders are trying to send with this meeting, the timing especially?
Well, it's like the old Jerry Maguire movie, the line, "You complete me." These are two authoritarian nations that kind of complete each other if you stop and think about it. Economically, you've got China, which is a factory, and Russia, which is really a big gas station, oil, gas, energy. You've got a nation that is a Pacific power, and you have one that hovers over the doorstep of Europe. Politically, two authoritarians. They're showing the world they're standing together. Look at them there, quite literally. And that has grave implications for the West in terms of support for Ukraine, in terms of the Middle East, in terms of geopolitics, and especially in this turbulent economic time. They're projecting partnership, power, and togetherness.
I mean, it can have an impact that what they're trying to project have an impact on, I mean, just name the international conflict that we could discuss, and this can have an impact, right? I mean, just thinking of Ukraine specifically, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, he was in Munich yesterday, and it was interesting, seeming to offer a tougher tone on Russia, maybe showing the frustration that the administration is feeling with regard to peace negotiations. Let me play this.
I wouldn't say that the Russians are uninterested in bringing this thing to a resolution. What I would say is right now, the Russians are asking for a certain set of requirements, a certain set of concessions in order to end the conflict. We think they're asking for too much.
Also seem to offer a softer tone on Europe, kind of touting the importance of U.S.-European ties. What do you make of it? Because, you know, sitting in Munich just a short time ago, it was quite a different tone coming from J.D. Vance.
Indeed. I would like to think that kind of the light is going on for the administration, that the best pool of partners we will ever have in the world are our European allies. They share our values. Their economy is almost as big as ours. They're the second largest defense budget in the world collectively. It's a pretty powerful opportunity. And as we get to trying to cut these trade deals, and we may see one announced from a European nation, Great Britain, shortly, as we try to cut these trade deals, we're going to need those European partners. We ought to recognize that, work with it. That's kind of what I'm hoping I'm hearing from Vice President Vance, because, yeah, it's a difference in tone, and it's a smart pivot.
And it's interesting, it's all so intertwined right now, as you're pointing out. The saying to talk about this quickly is kind of impossible, but the dangerous escalation between India and Pakistan. You have more border shelling overnight. Pakistan says it shot down 25 Indian drones. But the defense minister in Pakistan also said that what they're trying to do is to avoid this becoming a full-fledged war. What are you seeing there and how it stands right now? Because it doesn't seem to be abating. I mean, what's going to decide that? Where is that line between another round of tension and escalation and full-fledged war?
We're right on it, frankly, and I think this crisis is real. And to my eye, it is kind of zooming past what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening in the Middle East, what's happening in U.S., China. It really is all hands on deck. And this would be a good moment for China to call Islamabad, to call the Pakistanis, the U.S. to call India and say, hey, let's stand down, because a war at the top of the world starting in the Kashmir is going to ultimately potentially kill millions. These are two of the most populous countries on earth. They're nuclear armed. So let's nip this in the bud. And this is a good example of where the U.S., China could actually work together to accomplish something positive. That would be a real plus.
A real plus. That's a great point. It is great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in.